Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise! I hope you guys are ready. It is playoff time.
After all the hours, the weeks, the months, it's time. The journey to the grand finals rolls on.
I'm going all the way. I'm going, yeah, my blood is rebel. I'm going all the way. I'm going to another level.
Oh, what is this?
That is brutal.
This guy is an absolute maniac.
This is absolutely insane. And the rock stars of the Overwatch League continue to crank out power chords. Oh, snipe.
You got rocked.
It's the playoffs, baby. So strap in as only the best of the best remain.
I'm going all the way. I'm going, yeah, my blood is rebel.
We know it won't be easy to hold that trophy, to wear that crown, but if you want it, come and get it.
And welcome back. It is time for more Overwatch playoff action here in the lower bracket. I am Achilles, joined by Wolf. It's unfortunately time to send another team home. We just saw the Seoul Dynasty get knocked out. Spark will be advancing. Now we have reigning champions from the inaugural season, London Spitfire, going up against the least likely candidate coming into this entire playoff run, the San Francisco Shock.
Yeah, you didn't expect to see Shock in the loser bracket this early. Huge upset win by Atlanta Reign, and that crazy C9 there at the end sends them here. And our legendary MVP Sinatra is playing for this roster. This is a team that could be eliminated today. Now, seems very unlikely. They're coming in as big favorites again here, but you do have to, feel the gravity of this situation here for the Shock. I mean, this is a crazy scenario that they just couldn't have seen coming.
Yeah, I mean, Spitfire starting themselves off as low as possible in this bracket, but is this where the playoff armor begins for them now that there is double elimination? Do they make a run and take down the Shock in another upset victory? That's a question that we really do have to pose to ourselves, because Shock against Atlanta, they just got the better of them in the end.
Yeah, and it's obviously an emotional loss for the team as well.
And a fast turnaround.
Yeah, very much a very stressful time for the squad that has, such a short amount of time to recover, prepare. You can see Moth's reaction here. We're seeing a lot of emotion from these teams here in some of these final moments where, you do remember these players have goals in mind, they have pressure, they have large fan bases. For Toby and Jaehong, we just saw, they're representing Korea. They're the only Korean team, Seoul Dynasty. For Moth here in this moment, he made a mistake. The squad wasn't able to touch the point, and that is going to weigh heavily going into a match against defending champions London Spitfire.
Yeah, especially after nearly holding that point for 4 minutes and then losing it in that fashion. That's got to be heartbreaking for the Shock, but hopefully they're able to stabilize and come back in with clear heads to try to take this series. For the side of the London Spitfire, it's been a very up and down season. I mean, for these guys, it's a bit of a roller coaster the entire way through. Reigning champions from 2018, then come in, lose to the Excelsior. We're only able to take one map away from them, and now they find themselves in that lower bracket at the risk of being eliminated.
Yeah. New York Excelsior are looking really good right now here in this playoff bracket. Bit of a resurgence. They came up with some pretty unique strategies, though, the Bastion, etc. And London Spitfire got a little bit caught off guard. Monty tweeted about this earlier, talking about how London seems like they've got the mechanical skill, but the adaptation on the fly has always been one of their weaknesses. And against a team like San Francisco Shock that kind of plays by the book, it could be good in terms of that meta matchup for the London Spitfire.
Yeah, we'll have to see who they're going to be fielding as well for the side of the Spitfire. Been seeing a lot of guard, not so much birdering in that series versus NYXL, so making some changes. Of course, the support line has been in flux, but one of the standards for the London Spitfire has been their tank line up in the front with Gesture and Fury. These guys, Gesture starting things off with the Sigma looked fantastic, but it's kind of been slipping a little bit.
It certainly has. I mean, we've seen some questionable gravitic fluxes from this guy throughout this playoff bracket, but I do feel like the synergy is there. Fury is such a flexible player. His hero pool is massive, so is Profits. You do see the whole combos coming through for Fury, and a lot of these team fights to set up what Gesture is doing, set up what Profit is doing as well. So I feel like that is the strength right now, what we need to look at, especially with the questions we have right now about the DPS lineup.
Yeah, well, let's go ahead and bring out our first team. Let's making sure that they were ready to go, and they are. So please welcome them to this stage, your 2018 champions, the London Spitfire.
It's It's been a season of ups and downs for the defending champions. Their banner is the only banner that hangs in this arena because they are the champions of the 2018 season, our inaugural season of Overwatch League. There were questions about whether or not they'd make it into playoffs, had to fight through that play-in bracket. Now they're here. And how far can they go? Their run through last season's playoffs was one of meta changes and quick adaptation from a team that has such flexible hero pools. And so far here in our playoffs, we will see Guard again, notably, but so far here in this playoffs, they have not looked as dominant as other teams coming out in a relatively unknown meta.
Well, we do have Guard, we do have Badoshin and Nuss going to be on that support line, so no Quatermain yet. Perhaps we will see him as we go deeper into the series, but let's go ahead and bring out our second team here in this match looking to avoid elimination. It's the San Francisco Shock.
Coming off of an emotional loss just last night, Moth is gonna lead the charge here for the Shock as they walk out with this roster they've been rolling with every single match of the playoffs ever since Sigma was released. Sinatra's Doomfist, the big cruxes here of their strategy. And Choyo Ben, a god of the Diva, has looked a little bit lackluster on the Sigma role himself.
Yeah.
We'll see if he can turn things around here. Here's your starting six for the big favorites to take it all.
Striker in again. We did see Rascal subbed in that series versus the Atlanta Reign just last night, but it wasn't until quite late in and only for a single map. Then he was subbed out, and we had Striker come right back into it. So several faces that we know the Shock has on their extended bench have not been coming out to play so far.
Yeah. Sinatra, the key player for this roster, he's your 2019 MVP, and he's a player that has dominated mostly on Zarya this year, but even on the damage role after 2-2-2 lock came into play, he's looked at the top of whatever he's playing. But when it comes to the Doomfist and when it comes to the Sigma meta, he's looked solid, but he doesn't look like MVP level in terms of the other Doomfists we have right now for our remaining teams here for the playoff bracket. So, you know, let's see if he can bring it to a higher, more consistent level. And in a favorable matchup for him, though, he is facing off against Guard, who had very lackluster Doomfist results on the match he played. Now, that was a match they lost, so having him at 9th ranks here does kind of look like, you know, the stats kind of are very small sample size here for Guard, but I think the eye test, you could tell that his Doomfist is a little bit lackluster. Everyone's wondering, where is Birdring? We know it's in his wheelhouse. We know he's a great Doomfist player, and we still don't have the answers to those questions yet.
No, we do not, but let's go ahead and take a look at our map set presented by Toyota. We will be starting things off on Busan, and then from there, as per usual in the playoffs, loser picks the next map.
Busan, we've seen a little bit of everything on this map since Sigma's release, but it has been very Reaper dominated. And that's what we are going to see the Spitfire start with, the Reaper and Doomfist, the meta composition. Sinatra teasing perhaps a Bastion opener here, but very difficult to pull this off on Busan. You're going to have to, you know, get onto the point. You have a lot of cover on the approach. Looks like it might be reals.
Playing it
All right.
forward. Okay.
You've got to win this first fight with this, because if you don't, you're going to give up so much percentage because you have to reset, you have to change composition, you're going to give so much ult charge. This first fight is so important. You have to use the barriers to get onto the point, as you can see here. But they can just hide behind the drum in the centers. That's what makes this so difficult to use. You have to get further onto the point.
New spot Guard out on the flank. Sinatra just pushing his way forward, using that self-healing for now. We'll break down of the Orisa barriers. The shields come up right in front of the Bastion's face. So far, no one really touching him, but the Immortality Field will get taken down. So now he's a bit more vulnerable, but Badoshin going to be the first one to fall, and Sinatra still sitting pretty. Takes down Prophet. Spitfire managed to find one as Moth will be eliminated. Violet barely holding on, has to use a Bionade on him himself. Sinatra trying to self-heal, but Gesture cuts him down. Gets rid of the Omnic, now is looking for more. Striker in the meantime still playing forward with a May, puts the wall up, tries to get the freeze onto Gesture. Can't quite find it, but still seems like the fight very much going the way of Shock. Sinatra going to be swapping over onto the Doomfist as they get ready to lock down this point. Spitfire still, however, playing aggressively up into the front. They're going to be managed to find two. The tank line of the Shock going to be eliminated.
They
Ice
need
block
that
forced
blizzard.
out now by Striker. He's 25% away from the blizzard, as you say, uses the wall, will be able to make it out with his life, but it is in fact the Spitfire who get the first cap.
If they had built the blizzard in that fight, they would have been able to win it no matter what. Sinatra has to swap over to a late Doomfist, puts him behind an ult charge, but that's not the most impactful ultimate right now in this meta. Won't be able to pair it with Joyobin's Flux when it's ready. Speaking of Flux,
Yeah, hold them together, put them up into the air, drop them down. Immortality Field was there, nicely done by Moth to go ahead and keep everybody alive. And a boost used by Violet, and Gesture is in the back line. Guard sunned up, but they can't finish him off. He'll go up with a Meteor Strike as that accretion connects in on a Striker. Can't quite finish him with a Meteor Strike, comes in a little bit too late, and he makes his way into the Ice Block, but for now, London Spitfire still going to be maintaining control of the point. You see that Gravitic Flux come in from Choyobin, pushes guard up into the air, the sound barrier perfectly timed as he hit, I believe, 7 HP. Keeps the Doomfist alive, they pick off Moth and Spitfire. Just go ahead and keep control.
they have to switch Moth back over to the Lucio here. Obviously, Batiste not really going to be working out in this type of team fight.
Punches there, and Bedosian will be taken down. Smurf gonna be on the trade. They're trying to find another one, but Prophet uses the Death Blossom. Meteor Strike, not gonna kill him off, but the punch does not connect. Seismic Slam with the health of Moth, however, will take down that enemy Reaper. The punch and gesture puts him into the pillar and finds another kill. Nuss is buying some time as he gets rid of Sinatra, but slowly tries to keep Fury alive, but it's very steady healing coming out. Why they need that Coalescence, so Bedosian goes ahead, casts that one off, and Violet nearly has a Coalescence of his own. All this means is that Spitfire just keep maintaining control of this point. They're at 80% now. Stun on to guard. Coalescence still rolling for Violet, looking for a pick. They just constantly shifting around these pillars, but Sinatra finally finds a kill as guard gets taken down with a rocket punch. Violet falling low, and Smurf going to get dropped. London Spitfire might just be able to hold this one out. They need to top up Fury, though, as he still hovers down below half HP. Another punch in gesture. Down to 30, tries to keep himself alive, but will get picked in the end by the enemy Gravitic Flux. Sinatra now going to be killed off. Another Coalescence coming in from Bedosian. Really just trying to seal the deal here in this overtime fight. Choyobin going lower and lower, makes his way behind the drum. Looting that Coalescence damage for a little bit longer. Orb comes out, guard goes through, has the punch, takes him down with the Death Blossom. Striker manages to find one. Eliminates the enemy Doom. Now Fury rejoins with that Wrecking Ball. Kyle drives his way in. We're into overtime, of course, but San Francisco Shock will be able to outlast the Spitfire in the fight and get the flip, but it's at 99%.
London Spitfire took so many gambles in that final fight. The final fight they were looking for, it doesn't end up being our final fight because the Shock do flip it in the end. They committed both support ultimates there, and that's going to take a little bit of time to get back. Moth obviously holding his sound barrier right now. London's just banking on this fight, this fight and the fight after it, just catching up on those ultimates, forcing Shock's ultimates out so they can finally get that flip, trade up.
Meteor Strike in, Coalescence is out, drops straight in on top of Nuss. Great execution there from Sinatra. A crucial target eliminated. The rest of Spitfire just trying to back up, but Gesture will get picked in the end, so some extra staggers coming through. As they keep going in quite deep. Sinatra just scooping up everything here in the kill feed form. They managed to trade back 2 onto the supports of the Shock, so decent little pickups there.
Yeah, guard not having this Meteor Strike is actually going to hurt Spitfire quite a bit when Gesture wants to use his Gravitic Flux. This next fight here is one where London could commit their ultimates, all of them here. They're going to have to bait out the sound barrier somehow first, but if they can do that, this Gravitic Flux should get value, and Spitfire should be able to win a war of attrition with those ultimates. They have the Blossom as well. Here's the Coalescence to lead into the Flux.
Flux goes out, sound barriers there from Moth. Get dropped to the ground, Choyobin falling low. The barrier going to be catching that accretion, so no stunts to be found yet. 70% on the board for the Shock. Need to turn this one around, but the Death Blossom is there for Prophet. Manages to find 2. Choyobin going to be eliminated as well. Now looking for the chase down there on the Moth, but they will just go ahead and abandon the Lucio, turn back around, kill the rest of the members on the Shock who are on the point. They do just that. They flip back into their favor, and here we are at OT. Moth tags in for a moment, but instantly gets deleted by guard with a punch. It'll bleed away. 183%. London Spitfire all smiles as they close out the first round of Busan.
Really good macro plays from the Spitfire, understanding the ult economy of the situation, utilizing the Coalescence to set up a Gravitic Flux. And when you use Coalescence to set up a Gravitic Flux, you're putting members close to half health, so that is when the Flux is going to get those kills. So they utilize those ultimates together to force Moth to use Sound Barrier. When you put those heroes into lethal range, Moth has to cook the Sound Barrier. He doesn't want to until the last second of the fight. But it's a great counter to Gravitic Flux. However, they knew that Striker didn't have Death Blossom, Prophet had his for the follow-up attack, and once the barrier's gone, there's no damage mitigation. You've already used your first two ultimates to get onto the point where you're in good position to get that Death Blossom value. And they just utilized great understanding of ult economy and how ahead they were because they had that 99-0 lead.
Well, back in for Mecha Base. It's going to be seeing a lot of the same. The boulders go out from either side, just greeting these experimental barriers. Pushing around the backside, Guard manages to find one, taking down Violet. That's going to allow for Bedosian to get the lead towards that Coalescence, as well as perhaps the point lockdown. And yeah, with Sinatra falling as well, pick potential basically gone for the Shock. We'll just have to retreat back over towards the spawn. First point lockdown again here for the Spitfire.
Just getting the better angles there past the barrier. Unfortunately, you can see OMEN actually did more damage in that last fight, but I think the Spitfire really just narrowed down their targets better, getting that flank angle. Shock here, gonna have to go through this choke point, but this is gonna be their best chance before those ultimates are online. And they do sneak around the right side.
Yep, push up into the air. Trakilbin going to be taken down. The uppercut connects, and Prophet snipes Sinatra out of the sky.
They only use the Coalescence here. I mean, that's not really the ultimate you're worried about using. It's going to come back so quickly, even with the global nerf to ult charge. You're more worried about the Gravitic Flux. You're worried about Meteor Strike. You're worried about Death Blossom. These ultimates that are so potent in these narrow choke points when you're the attacking team, having to come through these without really ultimates of your own. They do once again sneak out.
Answering Coalescence now here from Violet. Just trying to keep everybody topped up. Meteor Strike going to be forced by Guard. Waiting for his opportunity to drop back down. A lot of damage offered up onto the members of the London Spitfire. The Cat's getting ready to come through for the Shock. Spitfire will be able to tag over onto the point as the sound barrier gets dropped in. Now, they don't have that for the Gravitic Flux that Toyoben's about to have available in just a couple percent, but maybe it might not matter. Sinatra will be taken down, but it's at the cost of Fury, so manages to find one of the tanks. His gesture falls lower and lower, and will be dead on arrival. Plummeting back towards the ground, but Prophet, the major Death Blossom, finds two off screen. Toyoben just trying to duke it out with Guard. He uses the barriers, but there's no way for him to escape.
And this is another really important lesson as to why getting the point capture first matters so much, especially on Mecha Base. You have those choke points controlled. You are going to have the favorable ult exchanges. And if you zoom way back, you know, rewind, you could see Sinatra's flank attempt there on the Doomfist totally whiffed, and they gave London kind of a 6v5 fight.
Coalescence is out again. Prophet trying to TP in, but gets greeted with a boulder. Seems to be the standard these days. Sinatra, the Meteor Strike, does take down Bedosian, and Fury's going to fall. Spitfire in danger of losing this point. It seems like the Shock will be able to put this one back into their favor again in overtime. They maintain control, take it out of the hands of London, but can they take it to 100%
I mean, this is the thing that we just saw. I mean, this is it feels like I've got deja vu a little bit here. Obviously, this map allows for it a lot easier when you get that first cap, but London Spitfire can now again just force a fight where they have the better ultimates because they have so much time to do so. And when you're Shock, you have to commit ults to defend, because if you mess up one fight, if you don't commit, you lose the map. So it's kind of a lose-lose situation here for Shock. They're going to be the ones who have to make a big play.
Coalescence coming in as everybody gets halted to the side. Gravitic Flux going through. No one going to get taken down quite yet, but they're still dangerously low. But it's still Guard who manages to find the first kill as Sinatra gets taken down yet again. Guard coming out on top consistently, finding these picks. Now Ball's going to be gone. Meteor Strike forced out. Guard just going to drop down straight on top of the point. It's a little bit of damage there on the Toyoben, manages to finish him off with the uppercut. Striker answers two back. Prophet and Fury both gonna fall. Another punch there from Guard, but seeing the Death Blossom come out, Striker puts the team on his back and helps control the point. 52% for the Shock.
And this is a lot of ultimates used for Shock, but London Spitfire, you have to say the same. They committed the sound barrier there after the Gravitic Flux came through from Toyoben. Striker's the one who really comes up big, making the plays here to help turn this around, because this was almost a lost fight until he got that flank kill there. And he's obviously getting the Death Blossom value here. Not absolutely necessary there, but again, if any lost fight happens, you lose the map, so.
Yep. We're right back into the action now. It's the Spitfire on the other side trying to exit the choke. Get a nice halt together, but Sinatra will just go ahead and punch us into oblivion.
And now Mott's gonna have this barrier.
Oh, massive seismic slam coming through. They still use the Gravitic Flux, and Prophet uses the Death Blossom. Does manage to find two. Sinatra's in the back.
Prophet.
He's going alone. Prophet cuts him down. A 4K for Prophet. Violet's the only one left alive, and he's got a sliver of HP. He's off the point. He can't contest.
Moth had the sound barrier ready, but he's killed by a flank from Prophet during the Gravitic Flux. A huge turnaround here.
Absolutely massive. 95% built up for the Shock, and Nuss is going to be taken down off the bat. See the dueling at Moira's here. Coalescence is out for both sides. Striker down. the front of the point, gonna be looking to chuck him out, but he gets knocked off the side. Fury swings his way to success, gets rid of the enemy Reaper. Absolutely monstrous. Rabbinic Flux coming in, pulls Prophet up into the air. He will be taken down. Gesture dead as well. They get the stun on Fury in the back line. His guard hits the ground with the Meteor Strike, but he doesn't find any kills and will be taken down. The flip is there. Shock back in control. Nuss trying to buy enough time for some people to get back over onto the point. But Ocean will arrive, but he's going to be taken out. Both supports will fall, and that will be it. Another round coming up downtown. Going to be settling who will be able to be the victor in Busan.
Some really great plays from Striker all around on the Doomfist. And, you know, rarely is it the Doomfist player, or rather the Reaper. And rarely is it the Reaper. It's normally the Doomfist that actually is the one who gets those stray picks, the side rocket punch, the flank you didn't expect. But especially with Accretion being able to shut down teleports right now in this meta so well. But both Striker and Prophet were able to come up big on kills with these flank moves that turned team fights that were, in terms of ult economy, almost unwinnable. And that's exactly what Shock needed to do. They needed to win a fight down on ultimates, which is so hard to do in Overwatch, especially in this meta. You know, I guess Goats is probably the biggest ult team fight problem you're gonna have, but we're not in that world anymore.
I just noticed there was a shop named Dollarin written in Korean. I didn't notice that before.
There you go, there's references everywhere.
Sinatra falling low. And just to exit safely. Prophet, yeah, forced into that Wraith form. Tankline and Spitfire taking a ton of damage right now. Gesture and Fury both nearly eliminated. Sinatra tries to get the punch forward, but Gesture is there with the left clicks, manages to find the kill. Troyhoven gets rid of guard, but it's going to be Prophet coming up for two again. A Striker and Violent will both fall. Troyhoven alone in a corner, just desperately trying to dance behind those experimental barriers, but he will not last very long. They finish him off for the third time. London Spitfire will be able to get the cap first.
Shock is a team that, especially in Goats, is one of the most coordinated teams you could ever look at, right? London Spitfire, though, in these neutral fights is having better target selection. The communication than shot calling seems to be a little bit better.
Oh boy,
that shouldn't have happened. That was a pretty tricky setup, though, to be fair, for the Shock. But yeah, this is a roster that today is fully mixed, right? I mean, you've got 4 Koreans on this roster, 2 Westerners, and arguably, you know, that they have the synergy that's pre-existing, but Striker hasn't been playing most of the season, Smurf hasn't been playing most of the season. These neutral fights are so important on control.
Prophet cutting his way back, Soul has that Wraith form ready to go, and the Death Blossom now going to be online, but Violent hoses Nuss into the ground, and will also pick up Fury. Major value onto that Coalescence as Ocean will fall on the point. So Shock looking to get the flip here a lot sooner, not going to be in overtime this time. 45% currently for the Spitfire as Prophet will go ahead and get finished off.
In terms of ults, this time Spitfire is not going to be able to just fight their way in with a 99 lead. They do have a slight advantage going into this next fight, but this is certainly positionally a fight that Shock should be able to win. And if they use their ultimates more conservatively here, they should be able to build that better percentage. Look at the choke control.
Yeah, they're pushing through. That's going to be both Gravitic Fluxes used. Gesture up into the air, falling low, will get finished off, whereas Troyhoven sitting pretty, has that full HP bar. Holding forward, helps take down 1. You see, it will just be cleanup time here for the Shock.
Control maps, especially Busan, are so unforgiving. When you win a team fight and you hold the ult advantage because of your positioning, right? And you get to have the flux and the choke. I mean, that means everything. Look at how much value Gesture got on his, by comparison, very little in that last fight. As Troyhoven gets to choose the engagement location.
Coalescence out, superchargers used from both sides, now Violent as well. Using that ultimate, Death Blossom's going to be coming through. Gesture takes down Striker, interrupting that Death Blossom, finishing him off. TP out to the side, Prophet tries to get on the flank. He's right in behind Moth. Can he take him down? And he can. One final shot, finishes him off now. Just looks to deal with Smurf with the help of Nuss. They are able to do so. On the Spitfire, going to be regaining control of the point. Shock pushing up to just shy of 70% here. Striker will buy a little bit more time as he gets finished off. So 70% in the end.
See how the Spitfire operates here without those big AoE ultimates to fight in these chokes. The tools that Shock had to defend the first time after they got that flip back, they don't have. So they're going to have to hope for Doomfist flank, Prophet on the Reaper. He's spotted already. It's actually a pretty nice setup for Shock.
Oh, major drop down in the back guard, trying to find an execution. Taken down about half HP, and Prophet will be eliminated. Huge pickoff for Striker. And Spitfire inches their way into the lead right now. Gravitic Flux going to be used. Troyhoven trying to find the ankle. Finds Gesture around the back. He's absorbing the rest of these left clicks out from Troyoban. The boulder will not connect. Point now starting to get flipped back into the Shock's favor. The Spitfire cannot get there in time to contest it. 3 members going to be gone on the back end of the fight. Spitfire now on the back foot. Have to try to recap this point if they want to close out Busan.
Yeah, this is looking really good for the Shock. Just taking these fights straight up in the front of the Spitfire, punishing the fact that Guard is trying to flank oftentimes, Prophet's trying to flank, and they're just breaking through the center. And Striker not going to make the same mistake twice, going to drop down this time, not going to get caught like Sinatra did.
Already forced into the rain. Rabbinic Flux comes out, he'll drop down, Death Blossom out, manages to find Bedosian, and Jester going to be taken out as well. Striker now on the point alone. Sound barrier goes through from Nusk, catches 3 members, but Prophet already eliminated, cannot use his Death Blossom. And Nusk will be finished off, the OT will bleed away. It was looking so good for Spitfire, but the Shock turn it around, and they will take Busan 2-1 in the end.
Very good look for Shock here. They were able to turn things around, and it was a pretty rocky start on Control in terms of neutral fights. You aren't going to have fights like that on the other map types where you're walking into a 0% point, no one's got ultimates, no brawl type fights where they struggled most. So it's good they're able to take this first of potentially 2 Control maps here to start things off.
Yeah, very brawly all the way throughout that. Let's see if that's going to be the standard for the rest of this series as we get ready to jump into our next map, Spitfire's pick.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7.
And by OMEN, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
They don't just play for a team. They play for every fan, every rival, every moment, every match. And when everyone watching expects the best, they perform with the best.
Oh, so that's where Super's been. He's still stuck on top of the Golden Gate Bridge. That's why he hasn't been playing. He's waiting for somebody to help get him down. He needs to be airlifted out of there.
I mean, look, we've now have animated intros. I don't know what else. I don't know what other proof we need that Overwatch League is an anime at this point.
Consult with Monty. He's the one who's gonna hold you up on that one.
Well, let's talk about Moth for a second because throughout Stage 4 and obviously in this playoffs run, he's been a pretty consistent, you know, fixture of the Shock roster while everything else is kind of moving around him. You know, he, Choyobin, and Violent are the, you know, fixed pieces, and everyone else is shuffling. So we head into Numbani here. I feel like he's been a really good backbone for this team. Support ultimate timings have been really good. This sound barriers in particular very important in this meta as they were back in GOATS. And he can finally have a huge impact again on the Lucio. Whereas in the meta we had just briefly in stage 4, which was a little bit crazy, you know, it was harder to see his impact, and we even had, you know, Rascal coming in on the Batiste and stuff like that. But Moth is looking very solid right now, and I think it's really impressive too when you consider that for part of that stage 4 meta, he was the only Westerner on the team, and the coordination is still good, and arguably positioning with Lucio and your timings for your ultimates are more important than ever. London's taking a page out of New York's book a little bit here. We're seeing a lot more Bastion in this meta right now, and they will go for the defensive setup here with the Pharah, so setting up kind of a crossfire here. You know that your opponent's not going to have a lot of range damage to deal with the Pharah, and then their shields are going to be broken down by the Bastion. And, you know, the Doomfist can punch across, but can't punch that far, so he's going to have to get closer.
Yep, already. And I was going to say precarious spot, but now he's dead.
Well, yeah, when you're out there, there's just no coming back when Prophet can just find you.
Yeah. Wasn't many places left to hide.
You need help getting back to spawn, buddy?
Yeah, there you
I'll show you the way.
The very express taxi service coming in from Prophet.
Well, now they're cut in half. 2 of their members in respawn, so they're trying to kind of weather the storm there in the Atria, but...
It's at least like the 2 that are the most mobile.
Yeah. And that's why they died, too, in an ironic way.
They're working their way around the back.
So now we're trying to use
like this against the Bastion. It's always very scary. Mortality Field has been used. Striker does manage to finish that one off, and Guard's going to be dropping down, but Striker finds the kill. Ball's going to be picked off again. This time Gesture finding the final blow onto the enemy Lucio. Up there onto that bar in the sky. Prophet going to be down to about half HP. Striker trying to get the kill here onto Fury, but is unable to do so. And the Coalescence comes in a little bit too late from Violent, trying to keep him alive, and Prophet's still going to be taken out of the sky. Nuss manages to find the res, but already 2 ticks, nearly the entire point taken for the Shock, and they might just have it right here. Fury barely manages to step up onto the corner. Barrage comes down from above. Prophet finds 2. Now just looks to finish off Violent, but already so much percentage, giving up 98% to the Shock.
Prophet's sitting at almost 40% of his team's damage. And if this keeps up, I mean, this is with a Bastion on the squad, by the way. So if this keeps up, he might hit 50%.
Yeah.
It's just rising. Guard shooting mostly barriers, obviously, to be fair. But that's the point of the Pharah in this situation. There's no counter to it range-wise, and you just shoot around the barriers because you could position yourself anywhere because you could fly. You can control these chokes. Yeah, experimental barrier goes over there. Well, I'm shooting behind you over here.
Trying to pull them together again. With that halt, are unable to do so. Major pressure being applied onto Striker now in the side room. He falls low, as we see. That Flux come in. Gesture will slam Smurf back down to the ground, finishes him off, and Violent is cut off in the backside. Trying to do something for his team, but will get finished off in the end, and the res is there for Bedosian just for good measure as well.
Yeah. Guard's got configuration tank. He's able to do a lot more damage in that extended fight here, the second one. Shock got 2 ticks. They're going to have Gravitic Flux and Meteor Strike, and you know that's exactly how this hero was designed, was to break bunker compositions. You can't really call this straight up a bunker, but you can break a Bastion setup with that Flux and used correctly. The follow-up damage is there. They have Coalescence too. And in the longer fight, Striker will build that Death Blossom. So if Shock can't win with this set of ultimates, I think we're seeing a full hold here.
Well, pushing their way out, Coalescence has been used. Jump into the back, really aggressive plays there from Vault, trying to find a kill. Guard going to be hitting the ground, has that. Yeah, Matrix ready to go. Pumps out the damage. The Shock will be held off. Sound Barrier still ready. Death Blossom about to be online as well as the Supercharger, but can they get in position to actually utilize these?
I mean, that's the thing. Like this was the ult push they needed to win with. I mean, this is an almost unlosable fight with the ultimates they had, but Prophet came in with a sick flank. Let's take a look at this actually from his first-person view. As everyone commits to the Bastion, Guard survives, and then Prophet gets a perfect angle here. There's no one to block, but Choyobin is not ready with his grasp there to absorb that, and it's just free damage. That's a huge problem. They still hold the tank.
Low approach. Barrier goes out, already going to be taken down. There's a barrier, not going to last too much longer either. Great barriers coming out from Gesture to block the accretions, making sure they do not stun up this Bastion. That Blossom out from Striker manages to find one. Fury going to be taken down. Guard pops the configuration tank, but then instantly gets picked. Oh no, that's catastrophic for the London Spitfire with this defense. They're still obviously taking them down to overtime, but it seems like a full hold now not going to be possible. The Pharmacy is taken out of the sky, and that will just be the finish. So close to closing this one out with a full hold, but the Spitfire crumble right at the last second. So 2.5 minutes now on the clock for the Shock.
They have still the barrage available, and you know they, as you say, bought a ton of time. As the split spawns come through here, gonna sneak their way out. Guard actually sticking with this Bastion though. He had a chance to change, and it is still very powerful against what the Shock are running. But the Pharah is not going to have as much free reign here once we get closer to B. You have a lot less room to work with, and the point becomes a lot more narrow focused.
The hack there on the Prophet. Trying to find the kill. Immortality Field are going to be forced to keep us alive.
You can see that Prophet struggles to find damage here around these barriers at this juncture, at this corner, because if he does pop out here, you know, he's a lot more exposed, and the barrier window is much easier to block. You know, against one-sided rockets. You can't get behind them.
Barrage does come in. You were saying, actually killed both people who have barriers. Choi Yeoman and Smurf get taken down off the bat.
Choi Yeoman's
Choi
Yeoman's coverage as Diva versus Pharah is probably top 3 in the league. You know, he's on pretty much everybody's World Star list. He made the Tank World Star list for 2019, but the Sigma play from him in terms of absorbing these barrages in this particular map in Nimbani, not been so good. It's on a very long cooldown, so, you know, especially when you're up against a Bastion, it's forgivable. But he's just not ready for these blocks when he needs to be. Experimental barrier not blocking them either, and it's because Prophet's kind of threading the needle and getting into these positions. You know, I said he couldn't get behind them, but Shock put themselves in that choke, and he just waited right on top.
Activating the barrier.
London look extremely prepared for Nimbani. I mean, they're playing a lot of what New York did on this map. They learned from their mistakes, they learned from their loss, adapting here in this playoff series.
4 members split off there, but the EMP comes through, and that's going to be 4 members hacked on the side of London Spitfire. Mortality Field comes in at the last second to help keep Gesture and Guard alive for a little bit longer, but they will be taken down in the end. And that will be point B gained for the Shock. 20 seconds remaining as they roll in. It's going to be bumped up to 1:50.
It's just these big clutch moments from the Shock that they're finding so much success with.
That was
not, you know, it's
scary
not,
moment.
Yeah, it certainly was. It's not going to get you a great time, but it is going to get you the points you need. Force your way through. Sinatra going to stick with this Sombra, going to try to build another EMP here.
Okay, goodbye, Prophet. Already going to be eliminated. The hack goes forward onto Guard. Res is there from Nuss. And now the Ant Matrix going to be tossed into the corner as well. Death Blossom, a very aggressive one from Striker. He will not be able to find any kills, but they still do manage to take down 3.
Yeah, big question is, can they find Prophet here? It's actually going to rotate back around. The rest of the team will have time to get out. Guard has configuration tank as well.
Just got to be careful because EMP is available
Yeah,
for
that's the
Sinatra.
scary thing. Guard does not want to get caught by that. Completely nullify his effectiveness. Won't be able to do anything in this upcoming fight if he does get caught. No support ultimates available.
EMP out. Sinatra instantly dead on the back end of that one, but Prophet will fall. Everybody hacked in that EMP, and see them trying to hide in the side room. Fury will get chased down and eliminated. Configuration tank out. They'll be expiring pretty shortly here, and so far, not really seeing the kills. A lot of damage to be offered up, but now the sound barrier comes through. And Guard doesn't know which way to look. Turns out, whichever direction it is, it's not a good one. He gets taken down. The rocket punch from Sinatra puts him in the grave as Nuss tries to get the res off. It will be interrupted. Fury just going to be rolling around, trying to buy some time. The Blizzard comes through. But is that going to be enough? Because now there's no one on the cart. They tag it for a moment. Guard coming in with the Tracer, forced to recall. Tries to tag back in. Will get pushed away. The Shock rolled through to the end of Nimbani with 9 seconds remaining. 9.7 seconds.
9.7 seconds is actually the difference between winning conditions here for the San Francisco Shock, depending on if London Spitfire finishes the map. Could have been in draw territory there, so very important they're able to get those.
Yeah, solid finish here for the Shock. I mean, making it to the end after nearly being full held at point A. A very good turnaround performance from them in Nimbani. Now we're going to see how they fare on the defense when we come back for the next half.
Support your team with the official Overwatch League Coca-Cola bottles at CokeStore.com. Ships to all 50 U.S. states, Washington, D.C., and U.S. P.O. boxes.
welcome back. It's time for the London Spitfire to go on the attack here in their map selection of Numbani. Shock make it to the end with 9.7 seconds remaining. Now we have to see how they fare on the defense.
Yeah, this has been a very tense first two maps for San Francisco Shock. I mean, when you look at the matchup against Atlanta, Atlanta went undefeated in stage 4. They're very clearly in great form heading into playoffs, so it's not a real huge surprise that Shock could be upset. It was a very close series. But when you look at these first two maps, even though Shock finished Numbani and did take Busan, if you're a Shock fan, you're kind of feeling like, are we playing to our full potential here? Is Shock playing to what we expect to see from them? And it's not a clear answer. They will start with the Doomfist here with the Bastion on the opener, and Guard's going to look for that Bastion opening where you try to just deposit the Bastion on the left side, break through the enemy barrier. But obviously Striker has positional advantage here, so this can get a little bit tricky, especially when you have the Doomfist crossfire as well, where you're just trying to force this into the right position because there's going to be so much burst. Looks like Guard's just considering doing the left side and walk around. It's so risky to do.
Pushing their way up. Spot, Choi Hyobin. And now it's going to be the dueling Bastions. Bionade is out onto the members of the Spitfire, but they're saved for the moment by that Immortality Field.
Really cool.
Connected, but they get woken up. Walls come in, and Fury barely makes it out with his life intact.
The Immortality Field couldn't be destroyed because it was actually within the staircase.
Yeah.
So Guard knew he was safe no matter what, despite the bio grenade. So really nice placement there from Badoshin. He's able to build up a very fast ultimate here. He's going to toss it out. The wall is there.
Still just going to be such an interesting situation to see how the London Spitfire can push their way forward. And Matrix has been used. Now it's going to be the Gravitic Flux coming in. Immortality Field was already burned. The Bionade connects in already. 3 going to be gone. See here, Striker surging ahead, 25% up towards that configuration tank.
Choi Hyobin leads the Gravitic Flux charge war because he had a position where he could find damage, whereas Gesture spent most of his time in the stairwell here, in this choke point, just trying to help set up experimental barriers for the Bastion attack. Guard will swap over to Hanzo here. Not really in his hero pool. We've seen him experiment with it a few times this season, but this is a worrying look here, and Shock have configuration tank.
Great shot there. They can get the finish on Sinatra. That'd be a big way to open things up, but it's
accretion.
Yeah, nice. Gonna be greeted with a rock to the face in midair.
That could have been bad if he was just a little bit further back.
Yeah, fall off the side of the map. Rockets going in. Immortality Field has been used. Striker falls low. Field back for the moment to get topped up. And here that Nano gonna be invested in the Sinatra. As he just waits. But Spitfire playing it patiently. They hear the Nano go out, they just pull back.
Yeah, but they're running out of time. I mean, sure, 2 minutes is still a decent amount. We know Shock took the point in overtime.
So they also had it up to 98% on the first
Exactly.
realistically. So they were starting with 2 ticks.
They also had a really great set of ultimates to break it open. And this is just to break shields. That's the whole Hanzo pick here. And eventually, you know, you're going to break enough, you're going to get that ultimate.
They make their way forward onto the point. Sonic Arrow out trying to spot them, but everybody's still playing in that same corner. Shots going down from Guard, trying to break up the barriers. Will be greeted with an experimental one down the lane.
Ooh, it's the Immortality Field's used, so now this could be a huge Dragon Strike from Guard. There's no counter.
He dragged down an old Province with a barrage. The setup absolutely massive. Cuts down 3. Guard gets Choi Hyobin, and that will be them capping the point. Just about a minute remaining in the time bank. Great synergy with the Hulks. Doesn't matter if it's Gesture or Fury. The Hulk, they're with Prophet. Always great synergy here. We'll go ahead and take another look at it.
Yeah, pulls him right into it.
And he pushes up while he's got 46 HP.
Yeah, he's no fear. He's got complete trust in us, and that this setup is going to happen with Fury pulling them in. And, you know, it was all crazy because before that, I thought the fight was going to be all about the Dragon Strike because Moth had to use his Immortality Field early, and they were in that choke, so, you know, you either have to walk away or die if you're going to try to hold your ground there. Configuration tank is ready. A lot of that can be mitigated, though, in this fight from Gesture.
The clock's going to be used. Gesture pulling around the side. Meteor Strike from Sinatra manages to find one as Guard gets taken down. Fury eliminated as well. And that will just be cleanup here for the Shock, only losing out on Moth.
You could tell the way that Gesture looked, you know, we had his first-person view there. You could tell by the way he turned away from that Flux. He just didn't even want to know about how the results were going to look. There's not a follow-up that they could really try to pull off there to make that engagement there work. So it's probably pretty frustrated with how that turned out. It was a nice one in terms of how many enemies looked like they were going to be caught, but there was no follow-up damage. Prophet swaps over to Mei, and this is exactly what we were talking about earlier in you know, Monty's tweet about lack of adaptability on the fly. Like, it feels like London are lost here in terms of what heroes they want to run.
Meanwhile, Striker just sitting here, waiting, spamming down the lane. Barriers coming out. They will get boosted up over the top. Immortality Field's going to be used by Spitfire, but Guard manages to find the kill, and there's no res for the Shock. Big Flux going to be used. Choyobin pulling 3 up into the air, slams them back down, but cannot finish off Guard. Boulder goes out, Bionade hits 3. They hold Choyobin back in. Tries to keep himself topped up on that high ground. Absorbs a little bit. Again, Holt coming through. Now on a turn of being frozen, but Prophet gonna be taking a nap over onto the card. Makes it into the ice block as Guard uses that configuration tank and manages to find 1 on the Sinatra. He's a lot more than that. Choyobin will get set up and finish off. Now back up onto the card. Just have to give it a Smurf, which they do. And they should be able to start advancing again.
I mean, I am very impressed by the flex support players for both teams, by the way. Violet is hitting so many massive bio grenades, but Ocean is there with the immortality field every time. So it looks like Shock are good to go. They see the bio grenade and they're like, well, we're going to commit to this fight. They can't heal. This is our fight to lose. And then Ocean hits a great immortality field and they're kind of out where they don't want to be, because he's just always got it available when he needs it.
Yeah.
And it's just insane. Like, Violet's playing God tier, but so is Badoshan to respond. Sinatra has Meteor Strike for this next fight.
Down comes in, Meteor Strike going to be used. Fury already taken out as the Supercharger and that Immortality Field. Stun will greet him as he exits. Falls low, but they will be able to top him up. So Spitfire going to be held off. The punch looks for a kill, and Gesture gets cut off by his own team. Prophet puts the wall up. He says, I'm not letting you back in.
Yeah, it's got to be a rough feeling to kind of get staggered like that, but there's no way out. You know, you're doomed. Prophet has Blizzard for this upcoming fight, and, you know, Immortality Field will be available, but if he can get a good angle here, I think that's going to be really their win condition. You're going to be able to set up after the Blizzard, the Graphitic Flux, rather. And look at his positioning here. He's right where he wants to be.
Flux comes in. Get dropped back down. Couple from staying alive with the help of that Immortality Field, but otherwise, very much a one-sided affair for the Shock.
And you could see that was such a crazy good setup for the Spitfire too. They had this set play. They wanted to set up the Blizzard into the Flux. It looked all too perfect. But the Shock just didn't give them time for the setup. They just came in and crashed the party. Choyobin's the one who's the engagement tool, you know, and Spitfire just didn't get to use what they had, and now they're not in good position for the Mei Blizzard.
See them just poke out around the corner there just for a moment. Fury nearly gets picked off. Immortality Field's going to be used. About 3 going out. Striker gets boosted up.
Oh,
over
no.
the top. Meteor Strike into the back, and that's a double kill for Sinatra. Gesture and Fury both going to be taken down. Guard falling just moments before. Seismic Slam will get rid of Badoshan. That is nearly the wipe there. London Spitfire with 35 seconds remaining have to make it to the end, but the cart is still sitting at B. It's rolled back as far as it can go.
The check marks you see next to Prophet and Gesture, those are the ultimates they've been wanting to use, but they lose value over time. The fact that you have ultimates and you have ult advantages won't mean anything if you can't get into position to use them. They're gonna have to use Immortality Field here again to get out of this choke.
Sinatra waiting on the flank. They look to hold them off the side, but the barrier blocks that one out. The Plugs put Striker down on the ground, and Guard manages to find the kill. Now they start advancing. The Blizzard freezing up 3.
Great Blizzard.
That will be the cleanup here, but they still have so far to go as we get ready to roll into OT. Choyobin going to be dropping down, will be finished off in the end.
That was a long-range Blizzard across the gap and into that room. And it could have been absorbed by Choyobin too. There's always that small chance. Prophet makes it happen. He finally was like, I'm just going to force this ultimate. They're not giving me any chances. I'm going to hit the God tier 3-pointer all the way across. They've got a fight where they can win with this with the Supercharger as long as they can deal with the tank configuration here. Choyobin going to be the engager, but once again,
the big Flux goes out.
The big one.
Pulling them away from the card as best as possible. Still going to be forced out with the overtime, but Gesture will fall. Violet finds the kill. Nuss going to be taken down as well. Just Badoshan by himself. But you can see the configuration tank coming in. The shots connecting and everyone falling. OT will plummet as well. The San Francisco Shock will be able to find a map victory on Numbani, moving up 2-0 in this set, halfway there to keeping their playoff run alive.
Most people expecting Shock to have a pretty one-sided victory here despite the loss to Atlanta. It's a 2-0 start, but it's been anything but one-sided I do think Spitfire's got a great shot at coming back in this series, but they're going to have to keep their mentality straight as we head into halftime.
Very solid start. London Spitfire gonna have to try to bounce back, put some wins up on the board. We'll see if we can do it after halftime.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, now connecting 99% of Overwatch League fans. Catch your league on America's network, T-Mobile. State Farm. Whatever life brings your way, State Farm is here to help life go right. And by Xfinity. Xfinity X5 gives you the speed you need to game like a pro. The San Francisco Shock are trying to send the reigning Grand Final champs home early. So far, it's looking great for the San Francisco fans. They're up 2-0 as we come in to the break. Welcome back, everybody. It's halftime presented by Cheez-It Grooves. I'm your host, Chris Puckett. I've got the team with me, and we thought this was going to be 1-1. It was looking good for London on our first map. It looked like they had totally checked themselves after a rough match last night against the NYXL, and they were bringing it against the Shock. But then it was the Shock turning the tide. Let's take a look back at some of the big moments and tell me, what did you guys notice as we were watching Busan? Because there was a lot of comps used.
I like that San Francisco Shock, they did come out with something a little bit cheesy. They were trying to run a Bastion composition on the opening of map 1. But the one thing that the Shock love is their tried and tested compositions, which is this one that you're seeing here. And I think that they have such confidence in the way that they play that they can outskill anyone on these compositions, even if it's suboptimal to play into certain rosters. And it's just one thing that I really do like about the Shock is the amount of confidence they have in their play. Now, saying that, they were shaky on map 1.
Yeah.
And it was on a knife's edge on both of the initial rounds and then losing it.
It looked kind of all over the place on Busan, honestly, and I could feel the emotion still lingering from last night in their play. But the later that this series goes on, the more Shock are going to remember their championship spirit, I think.
I think Shock, at least on the second map, they really started to adapt a little bit quicker whenever London did certain things. On the first one, could have gone either way. I do think it in the end fell apart because London Spitfire tried to be a bit too flanky. This one was interesting on Numbani, however. Profit got away with so much he really shouldn't have.
I love it though. Classic San Francisco Shock. You're up against a Bastion and a Fire and you just run Doomfist Reaper.
What a shooter with our shotguns.
But I love it because they have so much confidence in the way that they play that they can outskill their opponents and they can win with that composition.
Tell you what, I don't love it, but I'm going to break it down later, so I'll let it sit for now.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. But I will say as well, London, they thought they were going to get away with a couple of bits and bobs here. But Josh, you hit the nail on the head earlier when you said that they were warming up, Shock remembering the team that they actually were towards the end of this series. The ults were on point. There weren't as many mistakes as we saw earlier into the map 1s. big fan of what Shock are looking like right now, and I was panicking. I'm not going to lie. I was sat watching this game. I was panicking for Shock because I thought that they had let the previous match get to them.
I wanted to see London at least tie this one up. I wanted to see a 1-1 series. It is now Shock just 2 games away. But Josh, we had some worries for the Shock early on. Break it down, because no longer it doesn't seem to be an issue.
Yeah, well, it's all about this Bastion, right? And the context for this is the San Francisco Shock played very little Bastion in their loss to Atlanta yesterday. And in a post-match interview, Baby Bay said he thinks that the Bastion play was the biggest deciding factor. The fact that the San Francisco Shock just couldn't adapt. So I've got an Insights powered by Intel where I want to run through some of the times where Shock have had to interact with Bastions in this match. Now, this is the very first composition that came out on Busan. You can see the point hasn't even unlocked yet, and Sinatra's already on the Bastion. So this, again, right from the beginning, you know it's going to be a different kind of match. And Sinatra's going to make his way around here and position on this staircase, which in itself is a bit of a strange thing to do. And if you notice, this Orisa shield goes down really early from Smurf. It looks like this strat isn't one that they've gone through very much. Sinatra's miles away, he doesn't really have a shield. They have to put the Sigma shield in front of him. The Batista, the Immortality field goes down really early on. And then finally, they start to get some picks. You're thinking, all right, San Francisco Shock have managed to make it work. But in the tail end of this fight, when people end up flanking, when the Lucio and when the Doomfist start to push from the opposite side, when the London Spitfire get here, Sinatra moves off on his own away from the team, with the rest of the team not following him at all, and ends up getting picked off by Gesture. So already these are the kind of nerves that I could see happening at the beginning of this match. Now here's this attack. We're at 58 seconds left, and the San Francisco Shock is still running this composition where they've got the Reaper and the Doomfist attacking, and they've had to make this long rotation all the way up and round, and now they're coming up top. This almost went horribly, horribly wrong, and they're continuing to shove this attack in and see if they can make it work with the Reaper and the Doomfist. Now, they don't manage to win this fight. They eventually clutch it out with 17 seconds left, and we've started to see a bit more refined stuff from them on the Bastion. But this is still a potential weak point for the San Francisco Shock, and something they're going to have to clean up if they want to make a big lower bracket run. And you can see them adapting on the fly. They are literally coming up with this stuff as the game happens.
Do you put Striker on the Bastion? We saw a little bit on Numbani.
It seems like this is going to be the way the series is going, with a lot of Bastion v Bastion.
The one thing that really did calm my nerves a little bit, though, was on that Numbani. When they knew that the win conditions for London was setting up early fights with the Bastion, setting around the Bastion. So they played hyper-aggressive right in their spawns all the time. Don't let them set up whatsoever. That was the signs where I was like, okay, Shock are kind of remembering how to struggle. They're learning. They're adapting. So, yeah.
If you're just joining us, this looked like a winner's bracket semifinal match. It's happening in loser's bracket round 1. It's win or go home. It is absolutely crunch time. And so we got to talk about this one, because London Spitfire, they're down 0-2, but they're not out of this match yet.
No, they're not. They have to kind of channel their 2018 clutch factor. They have to get back onto the form, and I feel like they're taking the first few steps. Suddenly, we see Nuss back into their lineup today. We see Quartermain pretty much all stage 4 long. In fact, he has more than double the time played so far in this stage. So it's interesting that they bring Nuss back in. Exactly the same thing happened in 2018. So it seems like, again, they're working some witchcraft, and we're absolutely okay with that.
Baby.
They can get away with it. On top of that, still, of course, big question mark. Why is Garden and where is Birdring? But that one we're just going to ignore for now, because it looked closer this time around.
How long can we ignore it for, though? Because we're only 2 maps away from going out.
I mean, it's more like, how long can they ignore it?
It's true.
It's not really our problem, is it?
Well, I have to ask you, because everyone on this desk predicted the Shock to take this series. Is it going to be a 4-0? Does London bring it back at all? I know London has to be hating themselves for dropping that first Busan.
I mean, the longer this series goes on, the more you'll see the dominance from Shock returning, actually.
I agree.
And I think it's going to get more and more one-sided as we progress.
Shock's just heating up, Josh, you agree?
Yeah, I agree. I think London have to try and throw different stuff out, and the curveball that they started to throw was this Bastion, and Shock are learning how to adapt to it as they go on. And the more match time that Shock gets in the lower bracket, I think the scarier this team is going to get.
Yes, yeah.
I believe in the clutch factor. It's time to bring it out, Spitfire. We'll see if they can get it done. Remember, it's London's pick when we return. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Grooves. Deep flavor, deep crunch. It's a mind crunch.
And welcome back. We are here after halftime, and it's going to be the San Francisco Shock leading with a 2-0. Spitfire making things look pretty competitive on the defense, especially on Numbani from the beginning on Busan, but they have not been able to put the wins on the board. And now it's do or die time.
It really is.
Drop one more, suddenly Shock's at match point.
Yeah, and it's looking like Shock is starting to really find their footing in this series, as the analysts were talking about previously in halftime. It just feels like each and every team fight they take, they're getting back to form in terms of how to understand, or how they understand how to break compositions like what we're seeing, the Bastion coming out from guard there, not allowing Prophet to set up the Blizzard fight he wanted, just being aggressive. The comp that allows them to be aggressive and prevent those big setups. So impressive stuff. We go to Assault. It's already mentioned Horizon Lunar Quality will be the map. And this is a map that big important setups on the A defense can really be the deciding factor on time bank. And sometimes we do see full holds on A in this meta. Certainly possible. And it's not a big surprise we're seeing the Bastion again. And the thing is, no one's really fully figured out these Bastion strategies yet, but New York was really the first one to consistently use them, and now it feels like the rest of the teams are starting to see the power of it. It reminds me of when we used to see Torbjorn compositions sometimes on A's of Hybrid and Assault every now and then back in the day, like with Torbjorn's old Molten Core, etc. It was very popular for a little while, then fell off. I don't know if Bastion will make it all the way to the grand finals, but so far it's been pretty great against London Spitfire, both Shock and New York, finding great utilization here. Prophet will once again try to circumvent with the Pharah, guard, and set up for Dragon Strikes, now break those shields. So this is kind of a repeat of what we saw a lot on Numbani from London Spitfire here to kind of respond to the Shock setup.
Yep. Not going to be set up behind the Orisa barrier right now. You can see the Striker is pushing his way around the left side on the high ground. So team going to be split for the moment. But Smurf's going to be okay. Just keep popping those shields up. Bionade connects onto 2. Prophet trying to get the rockets over top of that barrier. Can't quite do so, but they are playing back closer to the point now.
The architecture of the map helps defend the team with the barrier, so you just don't get that angle like you do on Numbani, where it's a lot more open.
Oh, hello!
That was unnecessary from Sinatra. That flank there gets called out.
Yeah, he gets caught. Gesture suns him up. The Grecian, he gets taken down. A crucial pickoff for the side of the Spitfires. They continue to try to approach the point.
That's for free kill, and that might cost him this whole point.
He's going to res and come back in as the Tracer just to try to get back into the fight a bit quicker.
I think everybody loves to watch Sinatra on Tracer, but it's not great against the comp London's running.
Immortality Field's going to be finished off, so fully pulled back off the point right now are the San Francisco Shock. Guard's still just trying to occupy this high ground as the Sonic Arrows going through to spot them out, but Sinatra comes back in, manages to take down Badoshin. Finds one, now Fury, dangerously low, will get burned down by Striker, and that's going to have to be a reset on the push for the Spitfire.
Sinatra's one of those mechanical players where you sometimes wonder, like, if it's not meta, I mean, can you just play it anyways if you're good enough? He comes back on the Tracer because he needs to return to the point quickly, but then he just showcases that it is in fact possible to play Tracer against a Pharah composition with all these shields and just get in the back line and wreak havoc.
Really great stagger there onto Jester, forces out the res from Nuss now, puts that on cooldown. Guard has a Dragon Strike available.
They're going to have Trance too here at Kilios in just a second.
Yeah, he spotted Sinatra as well, really good Sonic Arrow. Saw him trying to come in from that flank. Perhaps that will help.
They want to bait the Immortality Field from Moth somehow to set this up. I mean, the Dragon Strike itself can be what pulls it out when they set up for the Flux following, but Jester doesn't have it yet. But there's a lot of great ultimates here for Spitfire. They just need to put them together, and they need to do it now.
Medic grasp in the back, Hillman just trying to absorb as much as he can. Dragon Strike will go through. Try to get a halt, but it's going to be softening them up for the moment. Immortality Field does get used, but here comes the Out Matrix. Have to show respect to Striker, even if he's not setting that turret for him yet. Barrage comes down, tries to zone them back, but Striker goes into configuration tank and snipes Prophet right out of the sky. Takes him down now. The Gravitic Flux will come through. Jester going to be taking a shot in mid-air. Sinatra the Pulse Bomb gets put up at Ocean, but Nuss finds the res. Sinatra goes ahead, punishes the Mercy, however. Spitfire continue to try to play forward. They're so close to getting that tick. They finally do manage to get it. Sinatra still picking off people in the back lines.
Ladies and gentlemen, your 2019 T-Mobile MVP.
And Prophet as well on his Tracer. Very storied pick for him. He'll stun up for the moment. Prophet gets into the back. Manages to find the kill. Now he's looking to deal with Smurf. He's down to half HP. He's doing the barrier dance. Prophet will get hacked before he can break line of sight. Striker looking to shut him down for the moment. He loses out on that mobility. Now goes right back into it. Tries to finish off the Orisa, but the healing has returned for the Shock.
Spitfire's playing a dangerous game with this. Rather than resetting, coming back with the Wrecking Ball.
Ticking up for the moment. Another hack here onto Prophet. He's vulnerable again. They pull him out with the halt. Pocket healing there, trying to keep him topped up, and so far it's working a treat. Pulse Bomb nearly online. Fortify going to be burned by Smurf, and Sinatra taking down. Fury finds the kills. No Pulse Bomb coming out from the Shock this time around, but not still going to be eliminated. Stick goes in, they push forward, and Prophet gets a 2-for-1 special delivered by yours personally from Smurf. Gets rid of Violent. Guard finds another 2 kills, and that will be the cap. 3 minutes on the clock for the Spitfires. They close it out in OT.
I mean, looking back, almost objectively, it might have been like almost in a game theory sense, just to reset when you have 35 seconds left and look for one more final push was probably the choice that almost any team would have made, but London just said, well, we're going to clutch it. We're going to rely on our mechanics, and they did force that through. I cannot believe he hit that pulse on the Smurf.
Okay, Fury. Bionated, barrier a little bit too low on the ground. Still pushes out, gets picked off.
All right, Sinatra's got this one available. Yeah, it's a pretty nice setup for the Shock here. Like, they almost were able to punish Spitfire for overextending. Spitfire do pull back just in time. Get set up for the next attack here. They've only got 2 minutes, obviously. You know, time bank nerfed quite a while ago for Assault.
Looking for the aggressive TP is Prophet. Forces them back. EMP set to go from Striker. Yeah, sees the team. I mean, right now this is prime position to try to secure a 6-man EMP. Fury flying down below. EMP goes out, manages to find 2. The stick goes in onto Midoshin and it interrupts the Coalescence, taking him down to mid-ult. Guard gets the uppercut forward on a Troy Hillman, but Fury will fall. And it's still going to be a major advantage to the Shock. Closer run back here, playing right next to the point.
They just wanted to nullify the big ultimates there. Sinatra was set to kill the Coalescence, and for the EMP, it looked pretty lackluster, but in reality, it was just to make sure that no one on the point could use their ultimates. They'd have to fight in that choke where Sinatra was going to have free reign. It also meant that Fury wasn't going to be able to supercharge. Now, he didn't have it available, but, you know, it was about 10% off. In terms of ult tracking, pretty good job by Shock to set this up, and you know, he didn't have translocators, so he had to wait for that drop down, and it was pretty perfectly executed. And they planned on swapping anyways. They're putting them back on the Bastion. So this is great for the Shock. I mean, this is about as ult economic as you can get.
Guard trying to go into the punch, gets punished. Sinatra takes him down, having been swapped over onto the Bastion. And the rest of the Spitfire are stuck in this back corner. Awkward positioning here for them. Prophet nearly taken down, a sliver of HP remaining for him. He's wraithing out back towards the spawn, but Striker chased forward, found the kill. Guard will pick off Moth, but he will fall. Striker comes up with another one. See the experimental barriers is going right out in front of the Spitfire. Sure that they cannot get any damage down onto the Bastion. He's gonna think Buck's gonna be used, which is nuts up into the air. That's gonna be the sound barrier force here with 20 seconds remaining, but he's just gonna get picked off.
There was no way he was getting out of there. And Choyobin just seals the deal here. Didn't absolutely have to use it there, but if he gets the win fight, or the team fight win there off of it, it's over.
Prophet's waiting up on the high ground to try to push in. The Wrecking Ball now coming through from Fury. Absolutely melted by Sinatra, who is just set up in that bunker. Meteor Strike is ready. Moth says, come on, what do you got? Guard drops in, gets cleaned up instantly. And that will be the hold on B for the San Francisco Shock, not surrendering any percentage here over to the Spitfire.
It's starting to look like things are slipping away from London Spitfire in this series. Shock having, I mean, really showcasing a wide variety of versatility, from Sinatra's Tracer to Bastion swaps, the very brief Sombra we saw for that key EMP. Shock showcasing they've got a lot in their wheelhouse here in our playoffs.
Yeah, very solid stuff here. Hold them off at B. Now just need to get a single tick there. They will move up the match point. We'll see if the London Spitfire can hold them off on point A when we come back.
support your team with the official Overwatch League Coca-Cola bottles at cokestore.com. Ships to all 50 U.S. states, Washington, D.C., and U.S. P.O. boxes.
Welcome back. We're halfway through Horizon Lunar Colony. London Spitfire unable to finish the map. Couldn't get any percentage on point B. Shock now getting ready to go on the attack.
Sinatraa has showcased so much versatility throughout this season. I mean, to me, I tweeted this out, and I know a lot of people, you know, feel differently, and that's what makes Overwatch League so amazing, is everyone has different opinions. But to me, I look at Sinatraa as like, he is the MVP. He dominated a Zarya meta, right, in a completely different playstyle of Zarya to what he played previously when Zarya was meta back on Selfless. Then, you know, in stage 4, played the Doomfist pretty well. He's coming in here now, he's playing Tracer. His versatility is insane.
Smurf feeling pretty good.
Yeah, Smurf feeling good about his chances here. But I gotta say, I mean, Sinatraa has shown so much versatility in this match in particular as well that, you know, it's just so difficult for London to keep up. They're gonna run the Mei variation of the Bastion again here. And Sinatraa gonna go ahead and port everybody across. And again, I mean, versatility, how many more heroes is going to play this series and kill it with? He's going to teleport to the point.
Hiding it for now. They do manage to make their way through. Immortality Field's going to be cleaned up. The turrets now tossed out for Sinatraa. Just build up energy off of those barriers as they try to operate on the high ground. Guard stunned up for the moment. Immortality Field goes down for the London Spitfire. Fury drops down to contest, but will just get chewed up into the meat grinder. The other members of the Spitfire and Shock are just speed running their cap here on point A. Nearly have it done. They get the last few members, and that's going to be it. 6 minutes, 17 seconds to take a single tick on point B. And if they do that, they move to match point. London Spitfire backs against the wall.
No ultimate's really built here for Spitfire because it was such a disaster of a defense. I think the Reign were the first team to try this strategy earlier this season. But they only needed one tick and they won the map with it. Now they're just doing it to build a time bank. They skip the Bastion phase. They're going to have the wall here for Sinatraa to set up in just a second. And then all they have to do is take that fight.
That was awkward.
Yeah, I was trying to use the wall to block the teleporter. It happened just before the point. He almost prevented them from getting on there. But it was just a sliver sticking out you could interact with. Really nice response by Prophet. He's clearly seen this before.
Solid stuff. Fury taking a little roll through. The rest of the team now pushing forward as the Sim barrier comes in. Fury up into the air, will pile drive down, but doesn't find anything, and Gesture has already been picked off. Again, Shock does need that single tick, and it looks like they're going to be able to take it right here, right now, unless Guard can pull off some more heroics. He gets rid of one. Sinatraa going to be gone. Prophet goes into the ice block, but Striker is waiting with the Reaper to try to finish him off. Gravitic Flux now comes through, finds Prophet, drops him to the ground. Left clicks will be able to finish him off. Experimental barrier here from Gesture, blocking out the enemy accretion. So Yeoman just playing forward, trying to find the kill, and oh boy, bodies going flying as they will be able to get the cap. A big smile on the face of our league MVP as they close it out. San Francisco Shock, one map away from continuing forward and knocking out the inaugural season champions.
Sebastian, the Tracer, the Doomfist, the Symmetra. Sinatra's playing a little bit of everything here in this series, and defending champions Spitfire, they are looking defeated. It is going to be a long road for a reverse sweep if they want it, if they want to make it further, if they want to have a chance of the second grand finals.
Would be one of the most insane turnarounds that we've ever seen, but highly unlikely. We'll see if the Spitfire can pull it off when we come back for what could be the final map.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. OMEN, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. And by ZipChair Gaming, the official chair supplier of the Overwatch League.
Welcome to Assist of the Week, presented by State Farm. The Guangzhou Charge were looking to wrap up a 3-1 win over the Chengdu Hunters on Map 4 when Nero and Isfera tried to drop in for a clutch point-blank barrage, but the Hunters stunned and then hacked him before Jinmu flew in and finished him off. Not content with the one kill, Jinmu took Nero's old position and unleashed a point-blank barrage that wiped out the Hunters.
Jinmu! The ground barrage gets it done.
And welcome back. Match point now for the San Francisco Shock. London Spitfire are reigning champions, as you can see by the banner right there. Danger of being eliminated from the playoffs. Need to pull off a reverse sweep if they want to keep their hopes alive.
Definitely would go down in history as one of the biggest if they can pull it off here against big favorites to win the whole thing, San Francisco Shock. And you could see looks of despair and honestly frustration here for London Spitfire. And when you look at the faces of players like this in a match point map, it feels like there's just no way they even have it in them to get that last, for, you know, the last, stop the last map from going to the Shock and then reverse sweep all the way through. I mean, these are the defending champions, and that's something that I think everybody watching this, whether you're a Spitfire fan or not, you think to yourself, wouldn't it be unfortunate for the defending champions to just not make it even to losers finals here in our new format? And that's the kind of thing that weighs on these players who've been to a grand finals, have won it. Some of these players have been to Apex finals as well. And it's your legacy, it's your background, it's how much you've accomplished that makes it so frustrating when you can't do it again. And everyone has expectations for this squad even though looking at playoffs, no one, no analyst is really saying, well, Spitfire is just they're gonna break through, they're gonna win this, they're gonna take it. But you have to recognize that that's a lot of pressure.
Well, we do have some substitutions here. Rascal gonna be stepping in for Striker to start things off for the Shock. Then Architect will be showing up here. Sinatra, our MVP, gonna be subbed out. So Architect taking to the stage.
But that's not all.
But wait, there's more! We didn't put him on camera yet, but you keep cheering. There you go. You can see him on the wide. Super. He's made his way off of the Golden Gate Bridge, and he's back here in the Blizzard Arena. We helicoptered him in.
And perhaps most interestingly of all,
hello!
Nevix will come in for Trejo Bin on the Sigma role. There's been a lot of rumors about this guy, how much he's potentially going to be prepared for Sigma because he's been on the bench all season. A legendary player from last year, and now that he has had so much time to prepare for this role, again, we're making the pretty wide assumption it's going to be him and not Super on the Sigma. You can expect a new hero comes out, you've got all the time to practice and prepare that he's going to be god tier on this hero. There's a lot of pressure on him here. But for the London Spitfire, can you imagine? You enter a lobby. As the second you go into the lobby, you see empty slots when you know subs are coming. Imagine you go into a lobby, you're down 0-3, and you see 4 slots missing because subs are coming, and you're thinking, oh, they're flexing on us now. Like, how big of a mind game play is that, too? I mean, that has got to be utterly defeating and depressing to even see and to feel. It's like Shock doesn't even think they need their main roster to take us out of this tournament.
Well, this is the time to shut them up. If you are the Spitfire, come back in here, shut down all of these substitutions coming through from the Shock and say, nah, we won't fall to that. You need to put out that normal starting 6 if you want to finish this off. We'll see if they can do that. Gibraltar will be, potentially the final map choice of the London Spitfire here in the 2019 season.
It's going to be a long, long road. It's going to feel like longer than the entirety of these, months of the season they just played. If they're going to fight their way back to the end of this series, take it. I mean,
8-0 for the Shock on Gibraltar.
Yep. I mean, this is honestly a surprising map pick. I think it really does play into the Shock's strengths. I mean, they dominated on this map most of the season with Goats and the Reinhardt Zarya. But I say that, it's not really the San Francisco Shock you'd expect to see on Gibraltar. You're not talking about Sinatra's Doomfist here. We're going to see the Symmetra Bastion opening. And Nevix is on the Sigma, as you'd expect.
Wall comes up. Teleporter going to be destroyed already. Just keep going back and forth. Guard falling low. Makes it into safety. As the walls continue to come up, everybody going to be halted away, but the Mortality Field is still there. Now going to be blocked by 2 barriers to ensure that it cannot be destroyed. Super gets stunned for the moment, and we're just going to keep having this nice little back and forth. Card advancing. Somebody has finally pushed their way down. It's Rascal with the May, trying to get things moving. Gets stunned up by that accretion for a moment. Will not get finished off. Their way over onto the card. Immortality Field again coming up for the Shock. First kill going to be found. Super takes down Prophet. The cart inching forward, getting further and further away from the London Spitfire, so they have to reroute.
They have to reroute, and if it goes down, if it dips too far, they can't hit with the Bastion. And look at Nevix with the flank!
Oh, he's right up on top of him. Mortality Field goes out, but off the Ocean going to be taken down.
Absolutely crushing them here. No chance. I mean, what an unbelievable turnaround there for the Shock, too. They pushed down and then set up with the flank with Nevix. So London's feeling like, I've got to jump down and set up for defense here in this choke, because if they dip too far, I can't hit them with the Bastion. And that's when Nevix comes in from the side and just sweeps up the pieces. Guard's got configuration tank here, and he might be able to drop down to use it. They're going to have one real chance at this.
So got to be careful. Violet's been nailing these sleep darts all night long, and Guard's just going to melt.
He's dead.
Looks like he was maybe May-walled off. Configuration tank will come through for Architect. Nearly takes down Nuss, gets him as he tries to jump over to the side. Point blank there onto Prophet as well. We'll finish him off, and that's just going to be a glide through. 444 for the Shock. Make a wish. I think they're wishing for a step forward in the playoffs. Seems like their wish might just come through. I don't know
if they want to use their wish on that one, to be honest with you, Achilles. It's looking like that one's already a reality. This is a dominant Gibraltar push. Spitfire have the ults that they need to defend B here and even, you know, slow this push right now. But again, they have to get in a position to use it. Remember, albeit with a different roster, the Shock were able to be aggressive and prevent Proper from setting up a Blizzard last time. Superchargers out.
And Guard finds one as Architect will be taken down, still holds on to that configuration tank. Supercharger and the Immortality Field going to be taken away from the San Francisco Shock, but they lose out on Badoshin. They force the Riz from Nuss. Cart going to be abandoned for now. Super continues to inch his way forward, keep that one contested. Fury bionated, sliver of HP remaining. Tries to retreat, will be able to do so successfully.
This is a really tight hold the Spitfire are going to need. Tank configuration not useful in this setup.
Finally hits two, including Fury. He gets taken down now, but Ocean going to be hacked. Mortality Field helps keep him alive for a bit longer. So configuration tank will be used by Guard. He's trying to heal himself back up. He can't quite find a target. Gets a 2-for-1 shot onto both supports. Moth and Violet eliminated. Super finished off as the Blizzard came through from Profit. Nevix now a bit too far forward. They'll just go ahead and get finished off as Guard swaps into recon mode. Cart stopped 1.35 meters away. Seems like Guard's going to be swapping it up.
Guard's, you know, he's had...
Or going up top, never mind.
He's had a few moments here that have looked insanely stressful. He's being pressured by Architect. He's unable to get the kill before the translocation.
I'd just be screaming the entire time.
I mean, he's playing Bastion in recon mode a lot of the time because of Shock's composition, so can actually be like a really high skill hero Bastion can when things get crazy like that. Hitting the headshots, the difference between getting that Architect kill or not. He is going to swap over the Bastion though, no more Sombra. Rascal looking for the flank Blizzard here. So far, unseen. Okay, I think they know he's there now.
Yeah,
there
that's
goes.
going to be the drop down. Blizzard lopped in deep. Mortality Field already taken away. Gesture will fall. Headshot from Rascal finishes him off. Mortality Field set up perfectly for Architect. Just sit in the back and wait out that ice block from Profit. You lose it. Wall goes up. But Ocean trying to finish off Architect. Gets him so darn close. He can't quite get him. They delay a little bit, you know, drain some time off the clock. But Shock still sitting above 3.5 minutes for the final stretch.
When you look at what Shock is doing, you know, anything, there are a lot of words to describe it. Standard is not one of them. The setup we're seeing, Rascal with a long-range Blizzard, the lob somehow onto the low ground perfectly where it needed to be. It feels like everything is going badly for the Spitfire. All the chips are falling in the wrong places.
Here's going out again, just looking to boost the Bastion up into a vulnerable spot. Drop down comes in. She's not going to be able to find anything, but Guard taken down by Violet. Absolutely huge pick off now, and Nevix constantly spamming out, gets rid of Fury. Will be able to alleviate a little bit of pressure on back above it as Rascal will fall, but it's just going to be a trade on the maze. As Moth tries to stay alive on the high ground, duking it out with Gesture by himself. Will drop down, get topped up by Violet. Architect now, pole position. Nano going forward. Guard sniped out of the sky. Gesture gonna be gone. Configuration tank looks to finish them all off. Blizzard comes in, they'll get halted in to ensure that they get frozen. Kills are there onto Super and Architect. But can they stay alive? Sliver of HP here for Fury as the barrier gets broken. Has the Immortality Field, will step into it, but it gets cut off. The wall coming up.
Okay, if the Spitfire can stabilize, they're in a great position here. The Shock are gonna have to change their composition after this fight. I don't think they're gonna be running the Bastion around this corner anymore. They can keep Rascal here for this Blizzard, but this is a huge win for the Spitfire because now they've got a shot at defending C. They actually have Architect still on the Bastion. It's gonna be extremely difficult to get him into position to use this.
Yep.
Perhaps just hoping for the Blizzard to help set up his massive damage, but I mean, there's barriers on the way. It's the most narrow part of the map, and you've got to go around a corner. Wall to try to get them into position. He's up on the high ground.
Gravitic Flux ready to go. Gesture catches multiple, drops him down. Immortality Field saves him for now. As Nevix will get stunned up. Very little HP remaining for him. We'll go ahead, top him back up as quickly as they can, but now Super has fallen. And it's going to be the push forward for Spitfire, fishing for some more ult charge.
And I just don't think this Architect Bastion makes any sense anymore. I mean, if you've got a Symmetra, maybe. I mean, Rascal could pour him up to the high ground. He could hit from an unexpected angle. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I said that because he swapped to it. I'm not some sort of prediction god, but I mean, when I see the swap here, I'm like, okay, maybe. I mean, it's a tough ask. Here's the setup. teleporter sends those turrets directly over to the other side. That's why he set that up.
Doesn't have too much, but Architect does manage to find one as Guard will get taken down. Rascal now just going to be looking to farm up some energy off of these barriers. The Immortality Field not standing a chance. Prophet, however, on the high ground comes in, gets the headshot, gets another one on the Moth. Takes him down and Super will fall. I mean, going to be the only casualty on the side of the London Spitfire.
I really feel like San Francisco Shock has taken what was a crazy runaway push, an insane time bank, you know, set up to head into C, and throwing it away with this Bastion play. They are going to swap Architect finally over here to the Reaper, but I think that's more about the lack of a time bank than anything else, because, you know, you need something that can get into the backline. You need this sustainability for your last fight here. Nevix has the Gravitic Flux available. Great opening game for him so far here on the hero.
Violent moves over to the Moira. Still holding on. Gravitic Flux now going to be coming through. Catches Gesture. Configuration tank is out from Guard. He's got the Immortality Field to help keep him alive. Falls low, and oh man, he gets a fadeaway shot on the Nevix as he drops off the high ground. Architect as well finished off, managed to only find Fury. And that will just be the cleanup here. Rascal swaps to the Tracer, but does not have enough time to make it to the cart. Halted just a bit in front of point C is the card for the Shock. A win condition now on the board for the London Spitfire. Could extend this series if they can push close to the end.
I mean, it's kind of a weird thing to say, but I feel like Guard is really good at Bastion. I mean, you think about Bastion as just, okay, you go into your turret mode, you do damage, you don't have to aim that hard, but his positioning, his ability to help pressure those who are, you know, trying to kill him when he goes into recon mode, his accuracy has been pretty good. I mean, this is a player who's been heavily criticized as, you know, furthering shadow essentially all season long, and people don't remember that he was the best Sombra in Korea, arguably the world, when Sombra became meta again outside of Overwatch League last year and became a legend. Was picked up for the Spitfire shortly afterwards, but hasn't been able to live up to those expectations this season. And his Doomfist has been very lackluster, but the Bastion seems like a hero that in this particular match he could really excel on. And you know, he's had some great moments. His configuration tank there at the end kind of helped seal the deal on that defense. San Francisco Shock didn't do themselves any favor continuing to put Architect on the Bastion there at the end. But this is now Spitfire in a position to where they have a win condition on this map. They might be able to start the comeback. It all has to start right here. And I think even the most hardcore London fan is in despair right now. No one really believes they can do it, but if they're going to do it, it's going to start with this attack run. Prophet starting on the Pharah again. Maybe a little bit tougher against the Bastion.
We've got Guard on the Hanzo as well. Already though, experimental barrier to block off a lot of this rocket damage. Working extremely well. Prophet has not gotten a single rocket through yet. As they say that, we'll finally be able to find one. Good boop off there. Does come through. Prophet falls low. The rocket boosts his way back up into the air, and Super will be taken down. Gesture with the accretion and manages to find one kill, so now one less barrier to deal with. Prophet comes up over the top, looking to finish off Architect. And dangerously low, but couldn't quite find the finishing blow.
He's really threading the needle with these shots, though. And every doorway, getting that extra damage done. Look at this.
Very aggressively, constantly, the Shock trying to reroute here. Great setup. Pile driver in, direct hit goes through. Prophet barely surviving with 30 HP, will drop low to help finish off Rascal.
I mean, the Wrecking Ball here is perfect for this too, because you can help chase down these targets, you can cause so much disruption, and there's a breaking point with the Pharah where everyone just loses too much health, and they're not in a set up bunkered position anymore, and you just eventually die. You know, you're getting caught by everyone. This composition is designed, the one the Shock's running to hunker down and be somewhere where there's no one that can really damage you when you're at half health and you're on the run. You hit that tipping point.
Boost goes out, has to get behind that Marissa barrier, but it just does not last long enough. Mortality Field was not ready or in position to help keep Guard alive.
Nutt's not on the Mercy this time, so won't be able to res.
Oh man, Prophet nearly eliminated there.
This would have been a lot more worrisome if Shock had a great time bank, but they didn't finish the map, so London certainly not feeling stressed out about the timing that much here. As Rascal falls before he could use the flanking Blizzard.
just have to be concerned about getting back over to the cart. Right now, the Far are going to be grounded on the lower left side. Prophet going to be nano boosted, and the barrage, he takes it right to his face! Both supports plus the Bastion. Prophet cleaning up house with the barrages again. That is point A for the London Spitfire.
He uses the leap, you know, when he goes in for these barrages. He concussive blasts himself forward, so he comes up so quickly. Moth gets split spawned here, so is Architect, so the two of them are going to get killed off.
Oh, they're delaying him too. They just slept the Bastion.
That's actually massive. Got him with the headshot too, even though it wasn't needed. But this is starting to look like a really good situation here for London Spitfire. They've got Gravitic Flux available. And they get set up for a really big amplification matrix too. This is not where Shock want to be.
Right up into the front here. And Matrix is going to be coming through the Maywall, kind of disrupting there. They will go ahead, drop the wall, finish off Gesture. And
great play by Rascal.
Yeah, multiple kills now. Nearly the wipe coming through for the Shock.
Moth hits the Immortality field so no one can be killed. And Rascal sets up for the Blizzard when everyone on London Spitfire is trying to rush in. By guard.
I really like the ragdoll. It just crumbles into pieces and slams against the wall.
But they basically use the Immortality field, and London rushes in to try to blow it up, and then finish everyone off as they're all at half health. But the Blizzard is perfect from Rascal. And Shock just coordinated every counter to the ultimates coming through. Sure, they forced out Blizzard, which is really huge. But that could have been way worse for Shock.
They use the wall. Amp Matrix coming through, trying to break them off this high ground. Bio-nade hits 5 on the side of the Spitfire.
Violet's been insane with these nades today. Absolutely crazy. You can't block all those.
Off. Yeah, his wall just does not last long enough.
I mean, like this, I don't even know. I mean, I don't even know if we have a counter for this, but it's there's a lot of purple aspects of the UI there on the London Spitfire side. Yeah. Those health bars is always under threat.
Oh, man!
That's a caster blessing. Those are rare for me.
Got him right in the ankle. Going in another Bio-nade. This time not going to find the hit. Maybe block that one off. Sleep Dart goes forward. Fury's going to be taking a nap. Mortality field will expire.
This is good for London, though. They just waited out. Sure, it's eating into their time bank. They've still got 2 minutes. And they...
Another one. Time to wait again. This time the Amp Matrix now going to be coming through.
This needs to be London's fight. You know, they need to set up for a break through this choke.
Yeah, I would maybe try to go through the lower side. As
another bio.
Flying up into the air, but will just still casually kill off guard. Gonna have to try to reroute. They have the displacement on the Bastion for now. Prophet already forced into the ice block. The rest of the team disconnected away from the May. Bio-nade hits him as well. So in a very precarious spot is Prophet. And it's just one of those things. How do you approach this right now with the Blizzard? Because you know,
I mean, it's
if you throw it up top, they're gonna drop down.
Yeah, it's gonna have to be long range. Remember when Rascal threw his, he made it look like he was gonna throw it onto the high ground, and he actually landed it on the low ground.
Gravitic Flux comes in, catches numerous members on the side of the Spitfire, the Bio-nade, ensuring that none of them will survive.
And the
configuration tank is there again.
The focus on the Immortality field was instant. I mean, it was up for less than a second. They just blew it up. Flux is big, and London Spitfire are 55 seconds away from being knocked out of this tournament.
Boost back up, straight back into the same spot.
I mean, there's only 4 different choke points to go through here, and they're all about the same in terms of, you know, I mean, what is Spitfire gonna do? Gonna go through all 4 of them? That doesn't work either. You're gonna get cut off. Well, I mean, just look at how hard it is to approach here when this shuttle is controlled by San Francisco Shock. Now, they've gotten a few members through.
Guard is bringing up the cart in the back. Has to use the Wraith walk.
No.
The wall goes up, they drop it down, he makes it behind the barrier and stays safe. Bio-nade onto both supports. That will expire.
One more shot, Spitfire. This is it.
Gesture solo, 15 seconds remaining. The Spitfire need to push this one through. Immortality field is going to be burned to help keep Gesture alive.
They have to
finish that one off.
They have
Gesture
to commit
falling
now.
lower and lower. Supercharger going out. Blizzard comes through. There's no Immortality field for this one. The Supercharger finished off already by Architect. Gesture falling low in the back. Are going to be contested for now. They managed to find one, but the tank line's already been broken down. Nusk falling lower and lower. Will be finished off, but Doshin's the last one alive, but he cannot make it to the cart, and that is going to be it as they finish him off.
San Francisco Shock will be eliminating your inaugural season champions. Here, cannot tag the card. The Shock take it home. They will be advancing in the lower bracket, but for London, the 2019 season is over.
It's a sign of the times. 2018's champion defeated by this squad. San Francisco Shock beat them with 2 different rosters. At the end of the day, this is the favorite. San Francisco Shock, they are the favorites to take this season. There's no doubts about that. As London Spitfire here, I don't even think you could be upset about the domination we just saw. It was some excellent, high caliber Overwatch, and that's what San Francisco Shock has been putting out all season long. We got to see Nevix finally here, and he played very well. He played extremely well in the Sigma.
Yeah, quite good overall.
Yeah, and for London, we have to say goodbye until next season, but it's been a pretty good run.
And it has. This is where it ends for them. The Shock keep the hopes alive, advance further down the line to try to make it to that grand finals that they've been promised by so many people. So many people, analysts, players, fans alike, favoring them. But guys, we've got Mika standing by on the floor with Super, so let's go ahead and hear from him.
Thanks, guys. That's right. I got Super down here, and it's good to see you, man. It's been a while since we've seen you on stage. How's it feel to be back?
Feels like I never left. You know, the boys always got my back and just showed up today.
Absolutely. And it was kind of a rough and emotional loss for the team yesterday. You guys worked really hard, but it didn't work out in the end. But how did you turn your emotions around so quickly to be so dominant today?
I think after, you know, the way we lost with that C9, I think we kind of realized that the only team that can beat us is us, funny enough. Like, you know, if we don't make as many mistakes as we made, then we'll be fine.
Absolutely. And, you know, you will have to face off against either the Titans or the Gladiators, whoever takes that match tomorrow. And I got to know, who would you rather see in your matchup?
Probably the Titans.
Any reason why?
Because I think Gladiators have better Sigma players.
Oh, I thought it was going to be some sort of revenge scheme. You know, you have a...
Well, I mean, that too, obviously, but you know.
There it is. Well, thank you so much, Super. Congratulations on your win today. Take that smile. Continue on. Wolf Achilleos, back to you. Oh, just kidding. Just kidding. Come back. We have a special fan and a jersey. Hold on, I'm going to catch it. Yeah, there it is. I'm so good at what I do, you guys. This is yours, and you have a Super head to put it on. So you got twins. No, you got to put it on your face. There it is. Now, Super hug Super. There it is. That's cute. Now, back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Mika. It's okay. We squeezed in that victory moment there right at the end. Good to hear from Super. He says for him, it feels like he hasn't gone anywhere.
Yeah, well, guys, it's time to present our player of the match by OMEN, and I don't think it's a huge surprise here. It's the rare support player of the match. It's Violet. Insane bio-nades all series long. Great sleep darts. Moira was very pivotal in a lot of these fights on control.
Yeah, I mean, coming with multiple kills with the Coalescences, you know, just solid stuff as always from Violet. I think one of the best pickups for the squad.
Violet kind of goes under the radar. When you think of our top 3 teams, people think about Jonak, people think about Twilight, but Violet is up there on all flex support heroes.
Oh God, it was right in the shin. I used to be a playoff player, and then I took a dart to the knee. But here you go.
22 bio grenade kills in a one-sided 4-0 match. That is pretty impressive. I don't have the number of how many he hit, but I can tell you it's probably quite high.
Yeah, very solid stuff from Violet and from the Shock. Able to flex a little bit there at the end, give Nevik some stage time alongside the rest of the players who we haven't seen in a while. But let's go ahead and take a look at what this has done to the bracket. Obviously, the Spitfire alongside the Seoul Dynasty have both been eliminated. Shock push forward and will play against the losers of the Vancouver Titans versus the LA Gladiators. Spark will be playing as well. Both of these teams waiting to see who their opponents are going to be. For the Spark, it's between Excelsior and Reign, of course.
Gladiators having a great run through 2018's playoffs, and they are still definitely, I mean, I think there's a real chance they could upset the Titans here on Sunday. So this is a pretty exciting playoff bracket, I have to say. Even when you look at the loser bracket, you're like, I can't even believe it's real that these teams could go home, the ones we have left.
I mean, from the start, seeing who we got in our top 8, it's just been absolutely magnificent. both the play-in tournament now through to the round of 8. But we're getting down to the nitty-gritty, just 6 teams remaining. Some go home today. Let's see who will persevere in the end. But guys, that's all we have for matches today. But of course, we have the Watch Point post show coming up next, so make sure you stay tuned.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, now connecting 99% of Overwatch League fans. Catch your league on America's network, T-Mobile. And by Toyota, official North American partner of the Overwatch League. Toyota, let's go places.